Good evening from Washington, D.C. I'm Mehdi Hassan in for Chris Hayes. Earlier this week, Senate Republicans grilled President Biden's nominee to the Federal Communications Commission for the third time. They have been trying to derail her confirmation, claiming that she is too far to the left and too critical of Fox.
You said, quote, "For all my concerns about Facebook, I believe that Fox News has had the most negative impact on our democracy. It is state-sponsored propaganda." Do you still believe Fox News is state-sponsored propaganda?
These are your words. What about Fox News is state-sponsored? You know, you talk a lot about private actors. Last I checked, Fox News is not part of the government.
Yes, how dare anyone suggest that Fox was similar to state-run propaganda during the Trump administration? How could you possibly believe that when Fox spread Donald Trump's big lie that the 2020 election was stolen from him, culminating in a bloody attack on the Capitol by people who believed that story?
If you're a Trump voter and you suspect that this election was stolen, was rigged, you're onto something. The 2020 presidential election was not fair. No honest person would claim that it was fair.
The Dominion software, I know that there were voting irregularities. Tell me about that.
That's to put it mildly.
The company is called Dominion Voting. Dominion came under heavy fire after allegations that their machines caused thousands of votes in one Michigan county to be switched from Donald Trump to Joe Biden.
And now we have new evidence showing that Fox knowingly, willingly, recklessly spread those lies that led to the greatest threat to American democracy since the Civil War. This comes by the way of a defamation lawsuit against Fox from that company you heard mentioned, Dominion Voting Systems. They make voting machines used around the country that Fox regularly suggested were part of a made-up conspiracy to rig the 2020 election against Donald J. Trump. And in a stunning new filing, they reveal messages and testimony from Fox hosts and executives discussing that the things they were saying on air about the election were total nonsense. Tucker Carlson called the claims and the guests pushing them, quote, ludicrous and totally off the rails. Sean Hannity called them effing lunatics. Producer John Fawcett called them complete BS. And Fox Corporation Senior Vice President Raj Shah said they were, quote, mind-blowingly nuts, in all caps. Behind the scenes, Fox personalities were unequivocal about the truth. 2 days after the election, chief political correspondent Bret Baier said privately, quote, there is no evidence of fraud, none. The following week, Tucker Carlson wrote in a private message that Donald Trump needed to concede the election, and he agreed that there wasn't enough fraud to change the outcome. Carlson also made it very clear to his colleagues in private what he thought of Donald Trump's lawyer, Sidney Powell, who was publicly pushing his big lie all over Fox. He told fellow host Laura Ingraham, quote, Sidney Powell is lying, by the way. I caught her. It's insane. Ingraham replied, Sidney is a complete nut. No one will work with her. Ditto with Rudy, referring, of course, to another Trump lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. Carlson said, quote, it's unbelievably offensive to me. Our viewers are good people, and they believe it. In various other instances, Carlson referred to Powell as a crazy person, lunatic, unguided missile, dangerous as hell, nutcase, and poison. And in one text message to his producer, he even called her, quote, an effing bee. Charming. In testimony, Sean Hannity also said that he knew Sidney Powell was spewing lies. Quote, that whole narrative that Sidney was pushing, I did not believe it for 1 second. But this new information clarifies one of the reasons why Fox personalities continue to spread the nonsense that they knew was not true. They were afraid of losing their audience to the likes of Newsmax. See, the truth was not appealing to their Trump-loving viewers. In one instance, Tucker Carlson went as far as to demand that the company fire a Fox reporter who fact-checked a tweet from Donald Trump mentioning Dominion voting machines. He texted Sean Hannity, quote, please get her fired. Seriously, what the F? I'm actually shocked. It needs to stop immediately, like tonight. It's measurably hurting the company. The stock price is down. Not a joke. They took their complaints to Fox executives, and by the next morning, that Fox reporter had deleted her tweet. And we know that those executives, by the way, were well aware of the choices they were making. According to the court filing, the senior vice president and managing editor of the Washington, D.C. bureau, Bill Salmon, said privately, quote, it's remarkable how weak ratings make good journalists do bad things. It went all the way up to Fox Corporation chairman Rupert Murdoch himself, who told the CEO of quote-unquote Fox News that Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell's lies on their network were, quote, terrible stuff, damaging everybody, I fear. On another occasion, he referred to the Trump myth that the election was stolen. And on November the 16th, according to this filing, Murdoch wrote, quote, Trump will concede eventually, and we should concentrate on Georgia, helping any way we can. I'm going to say that again. Helping any way we can. We don't want to antagonize Trump further, but Giuliani taken with a large grain of salt. Everything at stake here. So let's be clear. Of course, Fox is a propaganda outlet. They wanted to help Republicans win their next races, the special Senate elections in Georgia. Fox is not a news channel, and it certainly is not fair and balanced. It is actively working to further the agenda of the Republican Party. You don't have to take it from me. Take it directly from Rupert Murdoch.